You know, trust doesn't usually shatter like glass. It frays, slowly, quietly, thread by thread, until what once felt solid is nothing but a handful of dust. And the worst part? You often don't even see it happening until it's far too late. Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "I'm not upset that you lied to me. I'm upset that from now on I can't believe you." That quote stuck with me because it cuts deeper than anger. It speaks to the ruin of something sacred, belief. Heather Brewer said, "The worst pain in the world goes beyond the physical. It is the betrayal of a friend." But what happens when it's family? When the betrayal comes not just from someone you loved or someone who shares your blood? My name's Michael Jones, but most people call me Mike. I'm 31 years old, and I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this. I've always lived by a simple code: keep your head down, work hard, stay loyal. I wasn't looking for drama, and definitely not love. My focus was locked in on finishing my doctorate in bioengineering and making something of myself. That was the plan. Clear, focused. But plans? Life doesn't care much for them. Especially not when temptation, ego, and betrayal come knocking, wearing faces you thought you could trust. I was the second youngest of 5. Grew up in a house with too many mouths and not enough peace. And of all the chaos in my life, nothing, and I mean nothing, ever hurt me like what I'm about to tell you. My oldest brother Ezra Brown shared the same mom, but had different dads. He was the firstborn, the golden mistake. Always loud, always the center of attention, always trying to one-up everybody, especially me. Growing up, Ezra would steal my things, humiliate me in front of our siblings, and throw punches he thought I'd never return. He was all ego. I was all silence. But people always mistook my silence for weakness, for compliance. Then there's my wife, Jessica. Or ex-wife. I met her in college. I wasn't looking for love, mind you. I had tunnel vision. I was working on my master's, grinding for that PhD in bioengineering. Love was a luxury I didn't think I had time for. We met at the library. She bumped into me, books went flying. I blinked, a little dazed, watching as my textbooks scattered across the floor like fallen bricks. She was already gathering them up with this frantic energy, her hands fumbling over pages and covers. "I didn't see you. I wasn't paying attention. God, I'm such a klutz," she kept rambling, still picking up my books. I sat up and started helping, brushing dust off the corner of one of my notebooks. She handed me a textbook, eyes wide with guilt. "Seriously, I'm so sorry." I just smiled. "No worries, mistakes happen. Have a good day." That was it. No flirting, no lingering. I picked up my books and kept walking. Apparently that intrigued her. She chased me down, told me I owed her a coffee for her assault. Seriously? I thought it was a little clever of her having me pay for her making a mistake, but I said no. She insisted. Eventually, she stole my phone, put her number in it, winked, and said, "I'll wait." We had coffee, and I liked her, more than I expected. I introduced Jessica to the family within the first year we were dating. It was supposed to be a good thing, her meeting my world. But the second Ezra saw her, I felt it. That look in his eyes, like a predator spotting fresh prey. He sauntered over with that greasy, arrogant smile. "Damn, Mike, didn't know you had it in you." Jessica gave him a polite half smile and looked at me. "Ezra, this is Jessica, my girlfriend." "Nice to meet you," he said, but the way he said it was a warning, like he was already undressing her with his eyes. I pulled Jessica aside that night. "He's a piece of shit. Don't let him get in your head." She laughed, brushing it off. "Relax. He's harmless." But I knew better. Fast forward a few years. She stood by me while I finished my PhD. I landed a job in research and development. Our life was starting to take shape. She was pregnant, 5 months in, and I was finally seeing the light after years of sacrifice. But Ezra was lurking beneath the surface. Ezra started making his moves about a year after Jessica and I started dating. Subtle texts. If you ever want a real man, and bet Mike doesn't know how to handle someone like you. Jessica blocked him, then unblocked him. I'm not sure why to this day, but she said it was no big deal. A few months before Jessica and I got married, after 2 years together, that fire turned into a blaze. Ezra came over one night while I was away on a work trip. I found this out after the fact when I questioned Jessica. She told me it was 2.5 bottles of wine. She said she was tipsy, that she thought it was me. That had to be bullshit. She had to know what she was doing, and when she realized it wasn't me, she didn't stop him. I asked her once, just once, did he force you? She looked me straight in the eye and said, no. That's when something inside me broke. Come to find out, the affair was going on for years, throughout our marriage, even when she was 5 months pregnant with my kid. The day I caught them, I wasn't supposed to be home. I had a big presentation coming up, the one that could change everything in my career. I'd forgotten some files at the house and needed them. A quick stop. When I pulled up, I saw his car parked in the driveway, Ezra's. My stomach dropped. I stepped inside. Quiet. Too quiet. Then I heard it, the unmistakable sounds coming from our bedroom. I crept up the stairs, heart pounding. The door was cracked open just enough, and I saw it. Jessica lying there, my pregnant wife. Ezra on top of her. Time stopped. I kicked the door open. What the fuck is going on in here? Jessica scrambled to cover herself, panicked. Ezra just smirked, unbothered. Yo, Mike. Didn't expect you back so soon. I stepped forward, fists clenched. Jessica sobbed, shaking. Mike, I can explain. Please. Ezra laughed, venom dripping from his words. My mind was a mess, but I forced myself to hold back the anger and try to focus on steadying my breathing. Then, as I turned to walk away, Ezra's voice cut through the silence. Finally got a taste of that slut's pussy, just as tight as I thought it would be, tastes even better than I imagined. My mind went blank. He touched my shoulder like we were old friends. I grabbed his wrist, twisted it. He screamed. I swept his legs out from under him, dropping him flat on his back. 1 punch, 2, 3. I lost count. When I stood, he wasn't smiling anymore. Jessica was shaking, crying, trying to say something I didn't want to hear. I didn't say a word, didn't even look at her. I just walked out. Later that night, she called my parents, crying, panicked. I ignored everyone. Not my mom, not Eliana, my sister, not even Tyler, my other older brother who called 6 times. Eventually, I showed up at a lawyer's office, filed for divorce. We had a family meeting after that. Ezra was there, bruised but smug. You're making this into something it's not, my mom tried to smooth things over. He fucked my wife, I said flatly. Repeatedly. Jessica sobbed. I made a mistake, Mike. I don't know why I kept letting it happen. Tyler leaned forward, eyes burning. He didn't just cheat with your wife. He's always been trying to destroy you even since you were younger. Eliana squeezed my hand. You don't have to forgive, but don't let them take any more from you. Ezra chuckled. Still mad you lost, huh, Mike? I looked him in the swollen face and black eye, barely hiding the quiet amusement in my voice. You look like you lost, though. How's the wounds? Ezra's smug grin twisted into a snarl. His fists clenched tight, trembling with rage. You're gonna regret this, he hissed, lunging forward. Before he could reach me, Dad stepped in, grabbing Ezra's arm with surprising strength for his age. Enough, Ezra! Not here! Not like this! Ezra yanked his arm free, spinning around to face Dad, his voice shaking with fury. Let me go! I'm not done with him! Mom stepped forward, her eyes wide but firm. This is a family, Ezra. We don't solve things with fists. Eliana, my older sister, reached for my hand, squeezing it tight. "We've been through too much for this." Tyler, my older brother, stood there tense but quiet, watching every move. Jessica sat on the couch, tears streaming down her face, her voice cracking. Please stop. This isn't who we are." I chuckled softly, still seated, feeling the bitter irony twist inside me. Ezra's gaze locked on me, burning with hatred, but the fight drained from him. For now. "This isn't over, Mike." Dad's grip tightened on Ezra's shoulder. "Not here. Not now. Take it outside if you have to." Mom wiped her eyes, trying to hold herself together. "We're family. Or at least we're supposed to be." Jessica sobbed quietly, burying her face in her hands. The room was heavy with tension, a fragile silence holding back the storm that threatened to tear us all apart. Since then, I went looking for a new place to stay, and one day, Jessica was at the door, pale, shaking, her voice barely above a whisper. "Mike, please, can we talk?" I stared at her, the weight of everything pressing down on me. "I've got nothing to say." She took a shaky breath, eyes glistening. "I tried to warn you, Mike, I did. But you were always grinding, school, work. You were so distracted, you didn't see the fire burning right under your feet." Her hand trembled as she brushed a stray hair behind her ear. "I never wanted this to happen. I was weak, I got lost. I didn't know how to stop it once it started, and it kept happening. But I never stopped thinking about you. About us." I watched her, trying to find the part of me that still believed the woman I loved was somewhere beneath the mess. She placed her hand gently on her belly. "We're about to have a baby, Mike. Our baby." The words hit me hard, but I wasn't sure if that child was mine at this point. That doubt gnawed at me. I swallowed hard, my voice low but steady. "I'm going to need a paternity test." Her eyes filled with hurt and tears, but she nodded slowly. "I understand." Her voice cracked. "It's just, I want to believe we can fix this, that there's still something real between us." I shook my head, the anger and pain tightening my chest. "You didn't fall, Jessica. You crawled through every line we crossed." She looked down, biting her lip to hold back tears. She placed her hand on her belly again, almost like a shield. "Mike, please, just one more chance. We can fix this. I'll do whatever it takes. I just want our family, you, back." Her voice cracked, fragile and desperate. But I flinched slightly. But I'd already made my decision. "It's too late," I said, quiet but firm. "The papers are filed." She stared at me like the floor had dropped beneath her. Her breath caught, then shattered into a sob. I stood there, still, silent. It hurt. God, it hurt, watching her crumble like that. Every part of me wanted to reach out, to do what I used to do and gather her up in my arms. But I couldn't, because even if I still felt something for her, I couldn't forget what she'd done. The pain I felt wasn't just for her, it wasn't just Ezra either. I was angry at myself, for trusting too easily, for loving too hard, for ignoring every red flag just because I wanted to believe I'd finally won. I'd seen Ezra's games from the start. I knew what he was, and I still let it all happen. I turned, walked past her, and didn't look back. Not because I didn't care, but because I did, and it was killing me. Meanwhile, Ezra's wife, Vanessa, had known something was wrong for years. She wasn't blind. She saw the late nights, the sudden phone calls he'd take in another room, the random receipts in his pockets that didn't match his stories. At first, she asked gently. Then the questions turned into fights. "You think I'm stupid, Ezra?" she shouted one night. "You think I don't see what you're doing?" He'd scoff, arms crossed, that same greasy charm coating his words like sugar on rot. "You're paranoid. I'm working." I'm doing this for us. And for a while, she believed him. Or maybe she wanted to believe. They had 2 kids, a house, years of history. Twice she threatened to leave, bags packed, car keys in hand. But each time he reeled her back in. "You're the only woman for me," he'd whisper. "You're just stressed. Don't let your imagination ruin us." He was a master manipulator, smooth, calculated. And Vanessa, she was tired, worn thin. But Jessica, that was the last straw. She found the messages first. Vulgar, bold, unashamed. They weren't conversations. They were one-sided fantasies. Ezra had been texting Jessica for months, disgusting, explicit things, despite her clear rejection, despite her attempts to shut it down. He flirted like she owed him something, like her being his brother's fiancée was just a challenge he had to conquer. Vanessa read every word. She saw how Ezra mocked her, his own wife, as if she didn't matter, as if their children didn't matter. But it wasn't just about infidelity anymore. It was the way he spoke about Jessica, the way he treated his own brother like collateral damage, just another pawn in his ego trip. That was the final straw. Not because she was jealous, but because it disgusted her. It was vile. A betrayal not just of her, but of decency, of blood. He made Jessica a conquest, and that turned Vanessa's stomach. This wasn't just cheating. This was something darker. Vanessa didn't yell this time, didn't cry. She waited until he came home late again, reeking of cheap cologne and someone else's skin. And then she handed him the papers. "I'm done," she said calmly. "Don't bother begging. The kids are already with my sister. I'm taking them. You're not poisoning their lives the way you poison mine." He laughed, tried to play it cool. "You think you're gonna make it without me?" She looked him in the eye. "I already have." And that's when Ezra's spiral truly began. The bravado cracked. His job found out. Something about a workplace relationship he bragged about getting away with. They fired him within a week. His friends, once entertained by his arrogance, stopped answering his calls. His parents, already ashamed, refused to take sides, which told him everything he needed to know. He posted memes on Instagram, made sad attempts at flexing a life he no longer had. But the comments roasted him into silence. He tried to get Jessica back once, just once. She ignored him. And Ezra, the self-proclaimed alpha, was left shouting into a void of his own making. Alone, unemployed, divorced, and drowning in the very ego that once made him feel untouchable. About a week after the fallout, Vanessa reached out. We met at a quiet coffee shop just outside of town. Neutral ground. The kind of place where no one knew our names. Where the clinking of mugs and soft hum of jazz gave you space to breathe. She was already there when I arrived. Hands wrapped around a mug, eyes red-rimmed but clear. She looked up as I sat down. "Hey, Mike, how are you?" she said gently. I nodded. "Hey, Vanessa. Not too bad, just sorting through my thoughts." There was a moment of silence, just the low hiss of the espresso machine behind us. "I know this is sudden, but I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything. You didn't deserve any of this." I didn't say anything. I wasn't sure I had it in me. She took a breath. "I'm divorcing him. It's official. The papers are being filed." I met her eyes then, tired but steady. "I knew he cheated," she said. "Not just once. It was a pattern. God, I threatened to leave him twice. Packed bags, told him I was done. But he's good at turning things around, at making you feel like the villain for even asking questions." She paused, fingers trembling slightly as she took a sip of her coffee. "I saw the messages. The ones to Jessica. I know she never flirted back. She tried to shut it down, again and again. But Ezra doesn't stop. He made her a conquest, something to win. And what he did to you, to his own brother, it disgusted me." She shook her head. "That was the final straw. Not just the cheating, but who he did it to. That told me everything I needed to know about the kind of man I married. I swallowed hard, my throat tight. She should have told me, I said, finally. She should have. Vanessa agreed. I won't defend her for that. But... She paused, choosing her words carefully. Don't be too hard on Jessica. I raised an eyebrow, but didn't interrupt. She really did try to shut it down, Mike. I saw some of the early messages. She told him to stop, she blocked him, she avoided him at first. But Ezra, he's persistent. He doesn't hear no. He twists it. Makes you second-guess yourself. Makes you feel like saying no is wrong. Like you owe him attention just to keep the peace. She let out a long breath. She shouldn't have let it go on. And I'm not excusing it. But I know what it's like to live with that manipulation day in and day out. It messes with your head, makes you lose your footing, your sense of right and wrong. It doesn't absolve her, but it explains some of it. I leaned back in my seat, running a hand over my face. I just keep thinking, how did I not see it? Vanessa offered a faint, sad smile. Because we wanted to believe in them. That's not weakness, Mike. That's what love does. It makes you hope. And people like Ezra, they feed on that. She looked out the window for a moment, the sunlight catching the edge of her tired eyes. I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But don't let that anger turn you bitter. You're not Ezra. Don't let his poison keep burning after he's gone. I nodded slowly, the words sitting heavy in my chest. But true. All too true. Vanessa stood first, sliding her coat over her shoulders. I followed suit. At the door, she paused. Take care of yourself, Mike. Really. You too, I said, then hesitated, before stepping forward and pulling her into a hug. It wasn't long or dramatic, just real, honest. Let's check in sometimes, she said, her voice low. Yeah, I replied. We'll be okay. She smiled, soft and tired, then turned and walked away, back into a world that had changed both of us. We were no longer tethered to Ezra's chaos, just two survivors, standing at the edge of our own new beginnings. A few months later, the divorce went through. Clean cut on paper, messy in the heart. I got my own place not too far off, but quiet and simple. Then the baby came. Sebastian Mark Jones. Tiny. Loud. Alive with all the wonder I thought I'd lost somewhere along the way. He stays with Jessica most of the time, but I check in on him and on her as much as I can. We're talking again, slowly, carefully, like rebuilding a bridge you're still not sure will hold weight. She's different now, quieter, more aware. And I think I am too. Maybe someday we'll find our way back. Maybe not. But it's enough, for now at least. And as for revenge, I didn't need it. Ezra lost everything all on his own. His wife, his kids, his mask, even an ass whooping by yours truly. Nothing more I could have or needed to do would have hit harder than watching him drown in the fallout of his own making. And me? I moved on. I sleep better. I train harder. I live quieter. As Khalil Gibran once said, out of suffering have emerged the strongest souls. The most massive characters are seared with scars.